What if I told you that there's one sentence, just one sentence, that when spoken once with complete conviction, can literally magnetize thousands of dollars into your life within days? Personally, what if I told you that this isn't some fantasy? This isn't wishful thinking. This isn't even what most people call manifestation. What if I told you that this is a scientific principle, hidden in plain sight, that the ultra-wealthy have been using for centuries, and a mystic named Neville Goddard cracked the code? Tighty right now, as you're listening to my voice, there are people, ordinary people like you, who were struggling financially just weeks ago, who spoke this sentence just once, and money started flowing to them like water. Sarah from Michigan, she whispered these words one morning in desperation. 3 days later, she received a check for $37,000 from a settlement she'd forgotten about. David from California, he spoke this sentence while staring at his empty bank account. The next week, his business landed a contract worth $85,000. Maria from New York, she said these words just once, with tears in her eyes. 48 hours later, she discovered her grandmother had left her a property worth over $200,000. But here's what you need to understand. This isn't about luck. This isn't about coincidence. This is about tapping into a fundamental law of reality that most people will never discover. See, right now, you're probably thinking one of two things. Either you're thinking this sounds too good to be true, or you're thinking, just tell me the sentence already. But if I just blurted it out right now, without preparing your mind, without shifting your consciousness, without helping you understand why this works, you'd speak it like every other affirmation you've tried. And it would fail, because here's the brutal truth no one else will tell you. It's not the words that create the money. It's not the sentence that attracts the wealth. It's who you become when you speak those words. And that's what we're going to do together right now. We're going to transform you from someone who wants money to someone who is money. Someone who doesn't attract wealth from outside, but generates it from within. But first, I need to warn you about something. Once you learn this sentence, once you truly understand how to use it, your relationship with money will never be the same again. You'll never again be able to pretend you're a victim of circumstances. You'll never again be able to blame the economy, your job, your boss, your family, your past, because you'll know, deep in your bones, that wealth is not something that happens to you. It's something that happens through you. So if you're ready to take full responsibility for your financial reality, if you're ready to stop making excuses and start making money, if you're ready to learn the one sentence that can change everything, first then stay with me, because what you're about to discover will either be the most powerful thing you've ever learned, or you'll dismiss it like everyone else who stays broke. The choice is yours. Before I can give you this sentence, before I can show you how to become a magnet for money, we need to destroy the lies you've been told about wealth. Because right now, sitting in your subconscious mind, are dozens of stories about money that are keeping you poor. Stories that were planted there by your parents, your teachers, your society, your religion. Money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work hard for money. Rich people are greedy. There's not enough to go around. Money is the root of all evil. Do you feel that? That slight tightness in your chest when I say those phrases? That's your nervous system recognizing the prison it's been living in. Let me tell you what wealth really is. Wealth is not paper. Wealth is not numbers in a bank account. Wealth is not even gold or silver or cryptocurrency. Wealth is a state of being. Think about this. Right now, somewhere in the world, there's a billionaire who just lost $1 million in the stock market. Is he panicking? Is he checking his couch cushions for spare change? No, because his identity is wealth. His state is abundance. Losing $1 million is like you dropping a penny. And right now, somewhere else, there's someone who just won $50 on a lottery ticket. And they're treating it like they struck gold. Why? Because their identity is scarcity. Their state is lack. The money isn't creating the state. The state is creating the money. But here's where it gets really interesting. Here's where modern science catches up with ancient wisdom. Your brain. This incredible computer between your ears cannot tell the difference between what's real and what's vividly imagined. When you imagine something with enough detail, with enough emotion, with enough conviction, your brain starts to believe it already happened. And when your brain believes something already happened, it starts to make it happen in reality. This isn't mysticism. This is neuroscience. Every single day, you are programming your subconscious mind. Every single day, you are creating your reality. The question is, are you programming yourself for wealth or poverty? Because when you wake up and say, I can't afford this, you're programming poverty. When you look at your bank account and say there's never enough, you're programming scarcity. When you see a wealthy person and say must be nice, you're programming separation from abundance. But what if instead of programming poverty, you started programming wealth? What if instead of affirming what you don't have, you started affirming what you do have? What if instead of speaking from the place of wanting, you started speaking from the place of having? Here's what most people don't understand about affirmations. They don't work because people speak them from the wrong state. They say I am wealthy while feeling poor. They say money flows to me easily while stressed about bills. It's like trying to plant seeds in concrete. The words have no soil to grow in. But when you speak from the state of already being wealthy, when you speak from the feeling of already having abundance, those words become seeds in fertile ground. And that's what we're about to do. We're going to plant the most powerful wealth seed ever discovered, and we're going to water it with emotion until it grows into your new financial reality. But first, you need to make a decision. Right now, in this moment, are you going to hold on to your old story about money? The story that says wealth is hard, that you're not good enough, that rich people are different from you? Or are you going to let that story die and be born into a new one? Because the sentence I'm about to share with you, it only works if you're willing to let the old you die. It only works if you're willing to step into a new identity. It only works if you're willing to become the person who already has the wealth you desire. Choose now, because once we cross this bridge together, there's no going back to the person who settles for less than they deserve. Let me tell you about a man who died with a secret that could have made every person on earth wealthy. His name was Neville Goddard. And for over 40 years, he stood on stages from New York to Los Angeles, teaching a principle so powerful, so revolutionary, that it threatened the very foundations of how we understand reality. Neville wasn't just a teacher. He was a mystic, a man who had pierced the veil between the seen and unseen worlds, a man who understood that what we call the physical world is actually just the shadow cast by our inner world. And he proved it over and over again in front of thousands of witnesses. In 1943, Neville was drafted into the army during World War II. He didn't want to go, so he used his technique. He imagined himself being honorably discharged, felt it as real, lived in that assumption, and within 9 days, he was discharged for no apparent reason. His commanding officers couldn't explain it. In 1959, a woman came to his lecture broke and desperate. Her husband had left her with 3 children and no money. Neville taught her the principle I'm about to teach you. Within 30 days, she inherited $42,000 from a relative she didn't even know existed. But here's where it gets really mysterious. Neville claimed that this principle wasn't his invention. He claimed it was taught to him by a mysterious figure he called Abdullah, an Ethiopian rabbi who appeared in his life when he was struggling, taught him these secrets, then vanished without a trace. Abdullah told Neville something that changed everything. You are already that which you desire to be. The secret is learning to live in the assumption that it is true. Think about that. You are already wealthy. You are already abundant. You are already everything you desire to be. The only thing standing between you and that reality is your assumption that you're not. But Neville took this further than anyone before him. He discovered that there are specific words, specific phrases, specific sentences that can shift your assumption instantly. Words that don't just change your thinking, they change your being. And buried in his lectures, hidden in plain sight, is one sentence that he claimed was more powerful than all the others combined. A sentence that, when spoken with the right understanding, doesn't just attract money, it transmutes you into money consciousness itself. Now here's the thing about Neville. He died in 1972. But his students, the ones who really understood what he was teaching, they never stopped using these principles. They passed them down, quietly, secretly, to their children and their closest friends. Wall Street executives who turned $1,000 investments into millions overnight. Hollywood producers who seem to have the golden touch on every project. Tech entrepreneurs who build billion-dollar companies seemingly out of thin air. What do they all have in common? They understand what Neville understood. They know how to use their imagination not just to envision wealth, but to become wealth. But here's what makes this sentence different from everything else Neville taught. Most of his techniques required you to visualize specific scenes, to imagine detailed scenarios, to construct elaborate mental movies. First, what he says, this sentence, it bypasses all of that. It goes straight to the core. It doesn't require you to imagine what having money looks like. It requires you to assume what having money feels like. And feelings, as Neville knew, are the language of the subconscious mind. Feelings are the bridge between thought and reality. Feelings are the creative force of the universe. Now I could just tell you this sentence right now. I could blurt it out and let you go try it on your own. But if I did that, you'd be like every other person who tries to use Neville's teachings without understanding the foundation. You'd speak the words without inhabiting the state. You'd say the sentence without becoming the person. You'd recite the phrase without transforming your identity. And it wouldn't work. Because you see, this sentence isn't magic. The sentence is just a doorway. The magic happens when you walk through that doorway and find yourself in a completely different world. A world where money flows to you as naturally as air flows into your lungs. A world where abundance isn't something you attract, but something you are. But to walk through that doorway, you need to understand something that Neville spent 40 years trying to teach, something that most people never grasp, no matter how many books they read or lectures they attend. You are not a human being trying to manifest money. You are consciousness itself, temporarily pretending to be human, temporarily pretending to be limited, temporarily pretending to be poor. And the moment you remember who you really are, the moment you stop pretending, the moment you assume your true identity, everything changes. Are you ready to remember? Are you ready to stop pretending? Are you ready to discover the sentence that will end your charade of poverty forever? First, then let's prepare your mind. Because what you're about to learn, it's going to change everything. Before I can give you this sentence, before you can use it to transform your financial reality, we need to understand why 99% of affirmations fail. Right now, think about the last time you tried to affirm something. Maybe you stood in front of a mirror and said, I am wealthy. I am abundant. Money flows to me easily. Just how did it feel? Just, if you're honest, it probably felt hollow, empty, like you were lying to yourself. And that feeling, that sense of incongruence, that's exactly why it didn't work. See, your subconscious mind has what psychologists call a reality filter. Every thought, every statement, every affirmation gets checked against what your subconscious believes to be true. If there's a mismatch, if there's incongruence, the affirmation gets rejected. It's like trying to deposit a check when you don't have enough money in your account. The bank says insufficient funds and rejects the transaction. But here's what Neville discovered. Here's what makes his approach different from every other manifestation teacher who's ever lived. First, instead of trying to force new beliefs into your mind, instead of trying to overwrite your current programming with willpower, you can use your imagination to experience what it would be like if those beliefs were already true. And when you experience something in your imagination, really experience it, with all your senses, with genuine emotion, your subconscious mind can't tell the difference between that and reality. So instead of rejecting your affirmation, it says, oh, this already happened. This is already true. Let me make more of this. But even this isn't enough. Even vivid visualization isn't enough. Because you can imagine being wealthy all you want, but if you're imagining it from the state of being poor, if you're visualizing abundance while feeling lack, it still doesn't work. The real secret that Neville spent decades teaching, is that you have to imagine from the state, not to the state. Let me explain what I mean. Firstly, right now, close your eyes for a moment. I want you to imagine that you just checked your bank account, and there's $50,000 more than there was yesterday. Now notice what you're doing. If you're like most people, you're imagining yourself getting excited about the money. You're imagining yourself jumping up and down, calling your friends, maybe even crying tears of joy. But that's imagining to the state of wealth. That's imagining yourself as a poor person reacting to suddenly having money. Instead, I want you to imagine from the state of wealth. Imagine that $50,000 appearing in your account is normal. Expect it just another day in your wealthy life. Imagine checking your account with the calm confidence of someone who knows money flows to them constantly. Imagine that feeling of course, this is how my life works. Feel the difference? In the first scenario, you're a poor person getting lucky. In the second scenario, you're a wealthy person experiencing their normal reality. And this is why the sentence I'm about to share with you is so powerful. It doesn't ask you to imagine being wealthy. It doesn't ask you to visualize having money. It doesn't ask you to pretend anything. It simply states a truth from the perspective of wealth itself. But to speak this sentence effectively, to let it transform your reality, you need to understand something about the nature of emotion. Most people think emotions are reactions to circumstances. They think you feel happy because something good happens, or you feel sad because something bad happens. But Neville understood something different. He understood that emotions are not reactions. They're creations. Emotions don't come from your circumstances. Emotions create your circumstances. When you feel wealthy, I mean really feel it, in your body, in your bones, the universe has no choice but to reflect that feeling back to you as physical wealth. When you feel abundant, not because you have a lot of money, but because abundance is who you are. Abundance starts showing up everywhere in your life. And the sentence I'm about to share with you, it's designed to generate that feeling instantly. Not the feeling of wanting wealth, not the feeling of hoping for abundance, the feeling of being wealth, the feeling of being abundance. But here's what you need to understand before we go any further. This sentence will only work if you're willing to let go of who you think you are. Right now, you have an identity. Maybe you think you're someone who struggles with money. Maybe you think you're someone who's unlucky. Maybe you think you're someone who has to work hard for everything they get. That identity, that story about who you are, that's what's creating your current financial situation. And as long as you hold on to that identity, no affirmation, no visualization, no technique will work, because you can't out-technique your identity. You can't manifest beyond your self-concept. You can't create a reality that contradicts who you believe yourself to be. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to use this sentence not just to attract money, but to become the person who naturally has money. We're going to use it to shift your identity from someone who wants wealth to someone who is wealth. Are you ready for that level of transformation? Are you ready to let the old you die so the wealthy you can be born? First, because once you speak this sentence with full understanding, with complete emotional conviction, with total identity alignment, there's no going back to the person who settles for less. The point of no return is coming. Your transformation is about to begin. Here's the moment everything changes. Right now, I want you to think about how you introduce yourself to people. When someone asks, "What do you do?" what do you say? "I'm a teacher. I'm an accountant. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm between jobs. I'm trying to start a business." Notice something. You're defining yourself by what you do, not by what you are. But wealthy people, truly wealthy people, they don't define themselves by their job. They define themselves by their essence. They know that what they do is just an expression of what they are. And what they are is wealth consciousness in human form. Let me ask you something. Right now, in this moment, how much money do you have access to? Don't just think about your bank account. Think about your credit cards, your credit lines, your ability to borrow, your friends who might lend you money, your family, your possessions you could sell. I'm willing to bet that right now, in this moment, you have access to far more money than you realize. Maybe $10,000, maybe $50,000, maybe more. But you don't feel wealthy, do you? Why? Because wealth isn't about how much money you have. Wealth is about how you relate to money. A person with $1 million in the bank who's constantly worried about losing it, that person is poor. A person with $1,000 in the bank who knows more is always coming, that person is wealthy. Wealth is a state of consciousness, and consciousness can be changed in an instant. Right now, I want you to do something with me. I want you to imagine that you are consciousness itself, not a human being with consciousness, but consciousness wearing a human costume. And as consciousness, you have access to everything. All money, all abundance, all wealth. It's all already yours. The only question is how much of it you're allowing yourself to experience in this physical form. Feel that for a moment. Feel what it's like to be abundance instead of wanting abundance. Feel what it's like to be wealth instead of seeking wealth. This is your true identity. This is who you really are, underneath all the stories you've been told about limitation and scarcity. And here's what's amazing. Once you truly understand this, once you truly feel this, money stops being something you chase and becomes something that chases you. Because money is just energy, and energy always flows toward consciousness that resonates with it. I think about magnets for a moment. A magnet doesn't have to chase iron filings. A magnet doesn't have to work hard to attract iron filings. A magnet doesn't have to convince iron filings to come to it. A magnet simply is magnetic. And because it is magnetic, iron filings are irresistibly drawn to it. When you shift your identity from someone who wants money to someone who is money consciousness, when you stop trying to attract wealth and start being wealth, money starts flowing to you as naturally as iron filings flow to a magnet. But this shift, this transformation, it can't be faked. You can't pretend your way into wealth consciousness. You can't act your way into abundance. You have to genuinely become it. And that's what this sentence is designed to do. It's not designed to help you attract money. It's designed to help you remember that you are money consciousness itself. Now, before I share this sentence with you, I need you to understand something. The moment you speak these words with true conviction, the moment you feel them in your bones, the moment they become true for you, your entire relationship with money will shift. You'll stop checking your bank account obsessively because you'll know it's always growing. You'll stop worrying about bills because you'll know they're always covered. You'll stop thinking in terms of scarcity because you'll know abundance is your natural state. But this also means you'll have to give up some things. You'll have to give up the story that you're a victim of circumstances. You'll have to give up the excuse that money is hard to come by. You'll have to give up the luxury of complaining about your financial situation. Because once you know, really know, that you are wealth consciousness itself, you can never again pretend that money is outside of your control. Fersu, are you ready for that level of responsibility? Are you ready to step into your power as a creator of wealth instead of a victim of poverty? That's because once you cross this bridge with me, once you speak this sentence and feel its truth in your body, there's no going back to the person who settles for financial struggle. The person you've been, the person who worries about money, who stresses about bills, who dreams about wealth but doesn't expect it. That person is about to die. And in their place, a new person is about to be born, a person who doesn't have wealth, but is wealth, a person who doesn't attract money, but generates money through the sheer force of their being. Are you ready to be born into your true financial identity? Then here it is. The sentence. The sentence that can transform your relationship with money forever. The sentence that billionaires speak in their minds every day without even realizing it. The sentence that Neville Goddard discovered hidden in the deepest mysteries of consciousness. Is this wealth? I am wealth. Say it with me right now. I am wealth. Do you feel that? Do you feel the power in those words? Do you feel how different they are from every other affirmation you've ever tried? This isn't "I will be wealthy." This isn't "I attract wealth." This isn't "wealth is coming to me." First, this is "I am wealth." Coyote, notice the present tense. I am, not "I will be," not "I hope to be," not "I'm trying to be." I am right now, in this moment. Notice that it doesn't say "I have wealth." It says "I am wealth." You're not a person who has money. You are wealth consciousness itself. This sentence collapses the illusion of separation between you and abundance. It destroys the lie that wealth is something outside of you that you need to attract, pursue, or earn. It reveals the truth. You are abundance. You are prosperity. You are wealth itself, temporarily wearing a human form. But here's what makes this sentence so powerful, so transformative, so dangerous to your old identity. When you say "I am wealth" and you really mean it, when you feel it in your bones, when it becomes true for you, you stop seeking. And when you stop seeking wealth, wealth stops running from you. Think about it. What do you do when someone is chasing you? You run away. What do you do when someone stops chasing you and becomes irresistibly attractive? You're drawn to them. Money runs away from people who chase it. Money is attracted to people who embody it. And when you speak this sentence, "I am wealth," with full conviction, with complete emotional alignment, with total identity integration, you stop being someone who chases money and become someone money chases. But let me warn you about something. The first time you say this sentence, your mind might rebel, your ego might scream, "That's not true. You're broke. You're lying to yourself." First, when that happens, and it will happen, don't argue with those thoughts. Don't try to convince them. Simply return to the sentence. I am wealth. Say it again. I am wealth. And again. I am wealth. Because every time you speak this sentence, you're not just making a statement. You're making a choice. You're choosing your identity. You're choosing your reality. You're choosing who you are. And the universe. The universe has no choice but to reflect back to you the identity you choose to embody. But this sentence is just the beginning. Speaking it once won't transform your life. You need to live in it. You need to breathe it. You need to become it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this sentence, "I am wealth," and we're going to use it to create a new reality for you. A reality where money flows to you effortlessly. A reality where abundance is your natural state. A reality where wealth isn't something you have, but something you are. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and as you exhale, say with me, "I am wealth." Feel those words settle into your body. Don't just think them, feel them. Let them resonate in your chest, in your bones, in your very essence. Now I want you to imagine yourself waking up tomorrow morning. But you're not waking up as the person you were yesterday. You're waking up as the embodiment of wealth consciousness. As you open your eyes, there's a feeling in your body, a feeling of absolute abundance. Not because you have money, but because you are wealth consciousness itself. You stretch, you smile, and you whisper to yourself, "I am wealth." Feel how natural those words sound coming from this version of you. Feel how true they are. Feel how they're not an affirmation you're trying to believe, but a reality you're simply acknowledging. Now imagine yourself getting ready for the day. But notice how different everything feels. When you brush your teeth, you're not worried about the cost of toothpaste. When you get dressed, you're not stressing about money. There's a calm confidence about you, a deep knowing that abundance is your natural state, a quiet certainty that money flows to you as naturally as your breath flows through your body. As you go through your morning, you whisper again, "I am wealth." And as you say it, you feel it. You don't just believe it. You know it. It's not hope. It's not faith. It's recognition of what is true. Now imagine checking your phone. There's a message from your bank. Your account balance has increased. Maybe it's a payment you weren't expecting. Maybe it's a refund you forgot about. Maybe it's interest that posted early. But here's the key. You're not surprised. You don't jump up and down. You don't call everyone you know. You simply smile and think, of course, this is how my life works. Because when you are wealth consciousness, money flowing to you isn't a miracle, it's normal. Say it again. I am wealth. Now imagine yourself going through your day, but notice how different you feel. There's no desperation, no anxiety about money, no sense that you need anything. You're operating from abundance, not scarcity. You're making decisions from confidence, not fear. You're showing up as someone who is wealth, not someone who wants wealth. And because you're operating from this state, opportunities start appearing. People start noticing you differently. Ideas start flowing to you. Doors start opening. Because wealth attracts wealth. Abundance attracts abundance. When you are the energy of prosperity, prosperity has no choice but to flow to you. Taken throughout your day, you keep returning to the sentence, I am wealth. Not as a mantra, not as something you're trying to convince yourself of, but as a truth you're reminding yourself of, a reality you're anchoring yourself in. Now imagine yourself at the end of the day. As you're getting ready for bed, you reflect on everything that happened, and you realize that when you started the day as wealth consciousness, when you truly embodied I am wealth, everything shifted. People responded to you differently. Opportunities appeared that weren't there before. Money showed up in ways you didn't expect, not because you did anything different on the outside, but because you were someone different on the inside. And as you drift off to sleep, you whisper one more time, I am wealth, and you feel it deep in your soul. This isn't just a sentence anymore. This is who you are. This is your identity. This is your truth. Now open your eyes, come back to this moment, but bring that feeling with you. Bring that knowing with you. Bring that identity with you. Because what you just experienced, that wasn't just visualization. That was rehearsal. You just practiced being wealth consciousness. You just practiced living as the embodiment of abundance. And your subconscious mind, it recorded every second of that experience. It felt every emotion. It believed every moment. So now, when you say I am wealth throughout your day, you're not trying to create a new reality. You're stepping back into the reality you just experienced. You're returning to the identity you just embodied. This is how transformation happens, not through force, not through willpower, but through experience, through feeling, through becoming. Now here's where the magic really accelerates. Say what you just experienced, what you just felt, what you just became. Imagine if everyone listening to this right now experienced it too. Imagine thousands of people all around the world, all saying I am wealth at the same time, all embodying wealth consciousness together, all transforming their financial reality simultaneously. The energy would be unstoppable. The collective vibration would be undeniable. The universe would have no choice but to respond with an avalanche of abundance. So right after this, I want you to go to the comments and type these exact words. I am wealth. Don't just think it, don't just feel it. Declare it, make it public, put it out into the world. Because when you declare your truth publicly, when you claim your identity in front of others, when you stop hiding your power, something shifts, something changes, something activates. And here's what's going to happen. As more and more people comment I am wealth, this message is going to spread. More people are going to see it. More people are going to transform. We're creating a movement, a revolution, a mass awakening to the truth that we are all wealth consciousness in human form. But it starts with you, right now, in this moment. Now let me show you how to live I am wealth every single day. Because here's where most people fail. They think that saying it once, or even feeling it once, is enough. They think transformation is a one-time event. They go back to their old thoughts, their old feelings, their old identity, and wonder why nothing changed. But real transformation, lasting transformation, happens through repetition, through consistency, through making wealth consciousness your default state, not just a peak experience. So let me show you how to live I am wealth every single day. First, understand this. Every morning when you wake up, you have a choice. You can wake up as the person you were yesterday, the person with financial struggles, limiting beliefs, and scarcity consciousness, or you can wake up as wealth consciousness itself. Here's how you choose wealth consciousness every morning. There's it before you even open your eyes, before you check your phone, before you think about your to-do list. Whisper to yourself, I am wealth. Feel it settle into your body. Feel it activate every cell. Feel it remind you of who you really are. Then, as you go through your morning routine, keep returning to this identity. When you brush your teeth, you're not a broke person hoping to get rich. You're wealth consciousness taking care of its human form. When you get dressed, you're not choosing clothes based on what you can afford. You're choosing clothes that reflect the abundance you are. When you eat breakfast, you're not worried about the cost of food. You're nourishing the body that houses infinite prosperity. Throughout your day, every time you catch your mind slipping back into old patterns, every time you start worrying about money, every time you feel lack, every time you think in terms of scarcity, you return to the sentence, I am wealth. That's not as a desperate affirmation, not as something you're trying to convince yourself of, but as a gentle reminder of what is true. And here's what's crucial. When you speak this sentence, you don't just say the words. You embody the energy. You feel the truth. You inhabit the identity. Let me give you some practical examples. When you're at the grocery store and you see something you want, but start to think I can't afford this, stop, take a breath. Remember, I am wealth. Then make your decision from abundance, not scarcity. When you're paying bills and you start to stress about money, pause, feel into the truth. I am wealth. Pay those bills as wealth consciousness taking care of its obligations. When you see someone else's success and you feel jealous or left out, shift your perspective. I am wealth. Their abundance is simply reflecting back to you what's possible when you fully embody this truth. You see, living in this state isn't about pretending you have money you don't have. It's not about spending recklessly or ignoring financial responsibility. Living in this state is about making every decision, every thought, every feeling, every action, from the consciousness of abundance rather than the consciousness of lack. When you operate from I am wealth, you make smarter financial decisions because you're not making them from fear. You take better opportunities because you recognize your worth. You attract more money because you're vibrating at the frequency of wealth. But here's the most important part. You have to be consistent. You can't be wealth consciousness in the morning and poverty consciousness by afternoon. You can't embody abundance on weekdays and scarcity on weekends. This has to become your new baseline, your new normal, your new identity. And yes, it will feel strange at first. Your old identity will fight back. Your ego will tell you you're being delusional. People around you might not understand your transformation. But every time resistance comes up, every time doubt creeps in, every time fear tries to take over, you return to the truth. I am wealth. And you feel it. You breathe it. You become it. Because here's what happens when you consistently live from this state. Reality has no choice but to conform to your identity. The universe has no choice but to reflect back to you the consciousness you embody. When you consistently are wealth consciousness, wealth consistently appears in your life, not as a miracle, not as luck, but as the natural result of who you are. Make the commitment right now. For the next 30 days, you're going to live as the embodiment of I am wealth. Every morning, you'll remind yourself of this truth. Every challenge you'll face from this identity, every decision you'll make from this consciousness, every night you'll go to sleep as wealth itself. And by the end of those 30 days, you won't be practicing being wealthy anymore. You'll simply be wealthy. It will be so natural, so automatic, so authentically you, that you won't be able to imagine being any other way. Now let's talk about the secret ingredient that makes I am wealth actually work. The element that transforms it from just words into a reality, altering force, emotion. You see, your subconscious mind doesn't speak English. It doesn't understand words or logic or reasoning. Your subconscious mind speaks only one language, the language of feeling. And every single day, through your emotions, you are programming your subconscious mind. You are telling it what kind of reality to create for you. Thus, when you feel frustrated about money, you're programming poverty. When you feel anxious about bills, you're programming scarcity. When you feel envious of others' wealth, you're programming separation from abundance. But when you feel wealthy, when you feel abundant, when you feel like money flows to you naturally, you're programming prosperity. So let's take I am wealth and charge it with the emotions that will make it real. Say it with me right now. But this time, feel what wealth consciousness feels like in your body. Tat, I am wealth. Thus, feel the calm confidence of someone who has never worried about money. Feel the quiet certainty of someone who knows abundance is their birthright. Feel the peaceful power of someone who generates wealth simply by existing. Feel it in your chest, that sense of expansion, of openness, of infinite possibility. Feel it in your shoulders, the relaxation that comes from never having to struggle for money. Feel it in your breathing, slow, deep, peaceful, because you know you are supported by the universe itself. This feeling, this emotional state, this is your natural vibration when you remember who you really are. And here's what most people don't understand. Wealth isn't attracted to what you think. Wealth isn't attracted to what you say. Wealth is attracted to what you feel. When you genuinely feel wealthy, when that feeling becomes your dominant emotional state, when you vibrate at the frequency of abundance more often than you vibrate at the frequency of lack, money has no choice but to flow to you. Because like attracts like. Energy attracts similar energy. Frequency attracts matching frequency. Think about it this way. Right now, there are radio waves all around you, thousands of different stations, all broadcasting simultaneously. But your radio only picks up the station it's tuned to. Your emotional state is like a radio dial. When you're tuned to the frequency of lack, you receive lack. When you're tuned to the frequency of struggle, you receive struggle. When you're tuned to the frequency of abundance, you receive abundance. And I am wealth, when spoken with the right emotion, is like a tuning fork that instantly adjusts your frequency to wealth. But here's where it gets really powerful. Most people try to feel wealthy after they have money. They think once I have $1 million, then I'll feel abundant. But that's backwards. You have to feel abundant first. You have to tune to the frequency of wealth before wealth appears. So right now, even if you have $5 in your bank account, even if you're behind on bills, even if you're struggling financially, you can choose to feel wealthy. Not because you're pretending, not because you're lying to yourself, but because wealth is your true nature. Abundance is who you really are. You're just remembering what you forgot. Say it again, and this time, let yourself feel the deep gratitude of someone who lives in abundance. Tat, I am wealth. Don't feel thankful for all the money that's flowing to you. Feel appreciative of all the opportunities that are coming your way. Feel grateful for the abundance that's already in your life. Because when you feel grateful for wealth, when you feel thankful for abundance, when you vibrate at the frequency of appreciation, more wealth and abundance have to appear. It's a law of physics. Now say it one more time, and this time, feel the excitement of someone who knows their dreams are already fulfilled. Tat, I am wealth. They feel the thrill of knowing that your abundant life isn't coming someday. It's here now. Feel the joy of realizing that you don't have to wait for permission to be wealthy. You already are wealthy. Feel the excitement of understanding that every day brings new evidence of your prosperity. This feeling, this is your new emotional home. This is where you live now. This is who you are. And from this feeling, from this emotional state, from this frequency of abundance, your new reality will be born. Something just shifted, didn't it? In the last few minutes, as you've been saying, I am wealth with real feeling, with genuine emotion, with authentic embodiment. Something changed inside you. You're not the same person who started listening to this message. The person who clicked play was someone who wanted money. The person listening now is wealth consciousness itself. The person who started this journey was seeking wealth outside themselves. The person here now understands that they are the wealth they seek. Can you feel it? That shift in your identity, that change in your vibration, that transformation in your very essence. This is what Neville Goddard meant when he said, "You are already that which you desire to be." You don't need to become wealthy. You already are wealthy. You just needed to remember. And this sentence, "I am wealth," this is how you remember every single time you speak it with feeling, with conviction, with embodiment. You're not creating a new reality. You're stepping back into your true reality. The reality where money flows to you effortlessly. The reality where abundance is your natural state. The reality where wealth isn't something you have, but something you are. And here's what's going to happen in the coming days and weeks. You're going to notice money showing up in unexpected ways. Maybe small amounts at first, maybe larger amounts. But it will show up because you've changed the frequency you're broadcasting. You're going to notice opportunities appearing that weren't there before. Business ideas, investment possibilities, ways to increase your income. Because when you are wealth consciousness, wealth opportunities are naturally attracted to you. You're going to notice people treating you differently, responding to you with more respect, offering you better deals, including you in conversations about money and success, because they can sense the change in your energy, even if they can't explain it. But most importantly, you're going to notice that you feel different about money. The anxiety will start to fade. The stress will begin to dissolve. The fear will gradually disappear. Because you'll know, not believe, but know, that you are the source of your own abundance. You'll understand that wealth doesn't come to you. It comes through you. And every time you catch yourself slipping back into old patterns of thinking, every time you notice yourself feeling lack or limitation, you'll have a way back home. I am wealth. These 3 words are your anchor, your reminder, your truth. So as you go forward from this moment, carry this sentence with you. Let it be the first thing you think when you wake up, and the last thing you feel before you sleep. Let it guide your decisions. Let it shape your actions. Let it define your identity. Because you are not someone who needs to get wealthy. You are not someone who has to struggle for abundance. You are not someone who has to earn prosperity. You are wealth. You always have been. You always will be. The only question now is, how much of that wealth are you willing to allow into your physical experience? But wait, there's something else. What I've shared with you today, this sentence, this transformation, this awakening to your true nature as wealth consciousness, this is just the beginning. Because there are other sentences, other phrases, other words of power that can transform not just your relationship with money, but your entire reality. There's a sentence that can heal your body instantly, a phrase that can attract your soulmate in days, words that can manifest your dream career, your perfect home, your ideal life. And in my next message, I'm going to share the most powerful sentence ever discovered, a sentence so potent, so transformational, that it can literally rewrite the fabric of your reality in minutes. But that message will only reach people who are serious about transformation, people who don't just want to know the secrets, but want to live them. So if I Am Wealth has already started shifting your reality, if you can feel the change beginning in your life, if you're ready to take your manifestation abilities to levels you never imagined possible, then make sure you're following this channel and turn on notifications, because that next message, it's going to change everything. But before you go, I need you to do 3 things. First, go to the comments right now and type "I am wealth." Join the thousands of others who are claiming their true identity as abundance itself. Feel the power of declaring this truth publicly. Second, share this message with someone who needs to hear it, because transformation is more powerful when it's shared. And the person you share it with might be exactly where you were before you discovered your true nature as wealth consciousness. And third, this is crucial. Start living as the embodiment of I Am Wealth immediately. Don't wait until tomorrow. Don't wait until you feel ready. Start now. Because every moment you delay is a moment you're choosing your old identity over your true identity. Every moment you hesitate is a moment you're choosing poverty, consciousness over wealth consciousness. Your abundant life is waiting. Your wealthy identity is calling. Your transformation has already begun. So go into the world as the embodiment of wealth itself. Speak, think, feel, and act as the abundance you are. And watch as reality bends to match your new identity. Says because you are not someone who wants wealth. You are wealth consciousness itself. And now, you finally remember. Go claim what has always been yours. I am wealth. Remember those words. Live those words. Become those words. Your millionaire mindset starts now. Your abundant reality begins today. You are wealth, and wealth is you.